From Wall Street to Main Street, this is Lalate.
It's a big night of evenings, LA, with great news across the board on your fourth stimulus check update, your third stimulus check update, and now your fifth stimulus check update, that SSI reform. How are you? Big news across the board as finally fourth stimulus got everything it needed this week. No bipartisan support, and the economy's not rebounding at a rate that anyone anticipated faster than before. But today, even more breaking news that was all good across the board. First, the Federal Reserve, in an insider report, suggests that next week will not ease Fed policy, signaling they're going to continue to support this economy because it needs more stimulus. Also making big breaking news today is that the president is continuing to push towards reconciliation. Of all the details about why reconciliation is happening and why fifth stimulus is just around the corner. Under fifth stimulus, SSI reform got an incredible push this week. More benefits, more money, more annual increases, and the ability to work if you do wish to and keep that money as well. A big update about student loan debt forgiveness in this video, a new grant about to go live in less than 12 hours, and a lot of other big, great, exciting news. Meantime, updates about the capital gains tax and everything else you've been wondering about what happened on Wall Street this week. Of all that exciting, great news in a big recording, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get to it as we start the evenings here in Los Angeles. As a big night unfolds, and we're just getting started, this is Evenings at Lalate. Everybody, it's a big night across the board. As fourth stimulus is heating up, third stimulus is getting more money out the door, and fifth stimulus with SSI reform is also pushing towards that finish line as well. How are you? It's a big night. I'm so excited you're here. This is a big recording. I got a lot to cover in this recording, and I hopefully get it all done. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We're approaching 1 year anniversary in just a few hours away. April 25th, this channel launched last year. What a run it's been, and I want you to be part of this community by subscribing if you have not. Also, like this video. If you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. In this video, I'll go over the third stimulus checks that are coming out this week, the fourth stimulus checks that are coming out in July, the SSI reform that's coming out in the fall, and what's going on with student loan debt forgiveness, the $6,000 from Ronald Wyden, the wealth tax, and the new business grant going live tomorrow. That's 8 things. Let's get to it, starting right now. First, third stimulus. Those unpaid third stimulus checks that you've wondered where they are, they're on their way. IRS confirmed yesterday that a sixth round of stimulus checks did go out this week. This is wave 6, and that wave will be arriving this week and next Wednesday as well. Direct deposits always arrive on a Wednesday unless you're a bank like a Green Dot or an H&R Block or a MetaBank that pays early. And mail checks are still coming out as well. Then we turn to fourth stimulus. Wow, great news. Now, fourth stimulus can be also referred to as the Infrastructure Bill or the American Jobs Plan or the Recovery Act. It's going to have stimulus checks in there every month, starting from the month of July and continuing thereafter. Depends if you're looking at the House proposal, which gives you more checks of a lesser amount, or the Senate proposal that gives you less checks but of a larger amount. Would you prefer to get more money over a longer period of time or a short amount of money faster? Well, this will all go to Votorama, and that Votorama is really where we are on the finish line. The great news this week is that fourth stimulus is a reality, and that fourth stimulus has to happen because 2 events happened this week. Event number 1, the iron was put to the mat, and we learned that there will be no bipartisan support for fourth stimulus, so you have to go by reconciliation. Number 2, the economic recovery data that came in this week showed that we're rebounding, but not at a rate faster than the month before, suggesting that the rate of growth will be full recovery at the end of this year, not this summer. Great news. Both items signal stimulus checks by reconciliation. I'll be going over that economic data and those Republican counterproposals in a second, but let me get to the big numbers across the board for forced stimulus. And let me also explain how they would work, when you would get the checks, and what's the difference between the two plans. Let's get to it. The House plan proposes you give a stimulus check every month for the pandemic plus 1 year. So the pandemic has 6 more months, you get a stimulus check for 18 months. Senators want to give you stimulus checks from when it becomes law in July to December. And then we have the movers and shakers. Who are they? The House members are more junior progressives, members of Congress, and the senators are senior members of Congress, more moderates. The check amounts differ. House members want to give you a smaller amount, $1,000 after the first month. Senators, we don't know the exact amount, but word on the street is it looks like this. Word on the street is they are considering the senators $2,000 a month or $1,400 a month. If it's $2,000 a month over 6 months, that's $12,000. And if it's $1,400 a month, that's $8,400. And with that amount, viewers always ask the following questions. Is that per person? Yes. What about family of 4? It's up to a family of 4. What about SSI, SDI, Social Security, and Rail benefits? You are included. So who's the eligibility? Anyone less than $75,000, single individual. Married couple, $150,000 or less, double the check. Family up to 4. That amount you saw before is 1 person, so you times it by 4. And if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Rail benefits, veterans, this would be you. Yes, it would be the single biggest payout you have ever seen on this channel. It would not be a taxable event. It's not income. It's a stimulus check. And it would not trigger any threshold about asset allocations for benefits purposes. So absolutely incredible, great news. Now, before you go any further, I know some people have wondered and asked a series of other questions. So let me answer them right now. 1, what month would the checks start? July. Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer said the vote will be July 4th, so the checks would go out about 10 days thereafter, approximately, some faster. So the first check would be a July check in the month of July, and then continuing thereafter. Second, viewers ask, how would I get it? I think they're likely to do the Harris Sanders plan of a debit card and then replenish it every month with more money. And then people ask, why get this instead of that? No, this is just a stimulus check. So late in this broadcast, I'll be covering other items that are coming up late in this year for you, potentially. And those items do not conflict or are not either or with this one. So then people have been wondering, but that seems like a lot of money compared to 2020. What do you think, Lalate? My response is, yeah, it is compared to 2020. But it's not compared to 2021. Because what's happening in September? In September, we have confirmation now that my reporting was correct, that the president is considering and will, under the 5th stimulus package in September, take the child tax credit, now law, $3,600 for 17 to newborn, and make it a 6-year program, giving those 17 to newborns $24,000 approximately over 6 years. So if he's willing to spend $24,000 on a 4-year-old, he'll certainly spend $8,400 on a working American. Absolutely. So yes, in comparison to 2020, it may look like more money. In comparison to 2021 on what's coming up with layout this year, not anything to worry about. Now, what I had always said were the issues to be concerned about were, number 1, bipartisan support, or 2, economic recovery at a faster rate. We learned this week neither event is occurring. So what happened? Well, the Democrats had been waiting for Republican counterproposals, and they finally came to paper this week, and they were actually lower than what the Republicans had offered over the last 3 weeks, meaning meeting in the White House did not help. It actually had them come up with a smaller offer. Their offer had been this earlier before this week. Not $2 trillion, remove climate, and come in at $600, $800 billion for infrastructure, which is less than even what the president wants for infrastructure. They didn't even do that this week. The Republicans came in at not $2 trillion, remove climate, and $500 billion. So there is going to be no bipartisan support for stimulus. But what also helped for stimulus this week? It was this. the unemployment numbers came in relatively flat, meaning that we are not accelerating at a faster growth rate of recovery than the week before. The number you're looking at is the new unemployment claims released on Thursday. We came in at 547. The prior week was 576. Here was the worry coming into Thursday. Before this last week, we were at 750. We dropped 250,000 people 1 week ago. So there was a worry we were not going to come at 576 this week or 546. There was a worry we were going to come at 250, that we were going to drop another 250,000 this week. We didn't. We stayed relatively the same. And then this number also signals why multiple stimulus checks have to be done. The continuing unemployment number stayed the same. The previous week, 16.9 million unemployed people. Week to week, this week, 17.4. Meaning very simple. It's very, very simple mathematics. We are recovering, but we're not fully recovered, and we're not going to be fully recovered by June or July or August. We need stimulus. 8 million jobs are missing, 17 million people unemployed. Very simple. And guess what? We had bigger news, even better, greater news than even that. The indication to this afternoon, is that the Federal Reserve has seen those numbers and will not be changing its federal policy to support this economy with their own stimulus next week. The Federal Reserve will convene next week for its own briefings, and insiders have said that they see these economic data and they see we're nowhere near fully recovered. They can continue to support the economy. Wow. So forced stimulus is really happening. Forced stimulus is really happening. So let me go to the next big subject matter, which is fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus heats up in September. And in fifth stimulus this September, the Republicans will not support that as well. Because what is the proposal for fifth stimulus this fall? $1 trillion. So the president will have spent $6 trillion between January, there's my graphic, between January and September. The Republicans are not going to support that. So again, the president will do reconciliation. And with that reconciliation came the incredible great news this week of this. Democrats have now told the president that this September they're demanding SSI reform. This is huge, great news. I am really, really excited for you. I have fought for you. We have fought as a family. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, whether it's SS200 or calling for the reforms, we have stayed on point. And boy, finally, our wishes and our voices have been heard. This week, we were heard when a series of Democrats wrote the president a letter and said, this fall, you're doing SSI reform. You promised it during the campaign trail. You promised it during the transition papers. And we're holding you to your promise, and we're putting it in the fifth stimulus package this fall if you don't. I love it. I love it. So let me go over the details first broadly so you understand what they are. And then I will go over the specifics of each of the items. First, more benefits increasing, asset limits higher, inflationary benchmark, then removing the income exclusion, and then the marriage penalty going bye-bye. All right, let me explain how this works because it's very, very simple. The SSI reform would be the following. They would take your current benefit amount, take it and raise it up substantially, and that would be your new number. That would be your new number. You would never be at that lower number where you are now. That would be your new number going forward. That's step number one. Then, every December, your benefits are reassessed based upon a new current benchmark. The benchmark now does not work. It's COLA, C-O-L-A. It doesn't work because the benchmark doesn't move. It stays flat. So every year you see your benefits stay the same. They're getting rid of that. And they want it tied to inflation. Inflation's great because inflation does move. Inflation does signal what cost of goods costs, milk, eggs, gas. And guess what? Inflation's always 1% to 4%. It always is. The next few years, we're anticipating 2-3%. So guaranteed, next year, you're going to go up 2%. The year after that, 2% at least. It's guaranteed. Remember, you'll never go lower. You'll just stay the same or go higher. then they want to get rid of that income exclusion. It's an awful rule that dates back to 1962 that says you can only work and make this amount of money or you go off benefits. Now, I understand some of you can't work, some of you don't want to work. This doesn't concern you. But I do have some viewers who do want to work but stay on benefits. Guess what? They want to get rid of that 1962 income exclusion number, start anew, allow you to work if you want to. You don't have to. And if you want to take home $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, they want you to be able to do that, stay on benefits, and guess what? Then they want that number to be tied to inflation. So next year, maybe you can take home an additional 2% higher. Finally, they want to get rid of the marriage penalty. Incredible, great news. So when would you see this money? How would you see this money? And what would happen? You would see this money likely happen in late fall because, again, the bill would start in September. It's a recon. It would take 2 months. And you would see your first check really impacted by the end of this year. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely. Do I think it is a reality? Absolutely. Do I see any opposition to it? No. Now, this week, Mitt Romney did reintroduce his bill from 2 years ago about benefits reform. Not going to see light of day because it's very well remembered from when he last introduced it. It cuts your benefits, and it's a Republican plan. It's not going to get support. So away we go. Again, that is in the fifth stimulus coming in the fall. The other big news coming today, oh boy, it's just a big day with big news, was that the capital gains tax worry that we had yesterday, which literally shocked, I almost cursed, literally shocked everyone, is not happening. And while the White House did not want to give a very responsive answer when asked about it, Wall Street did it for him, saying, you're never going to get that. Meantime, Bernie Sanders is getting a little bit strange in his ideas with a bizarre tax that didn't work before when he last introduced this. He now has reintroduced it. I'll explain what that is. But the big news is that new business grants going live. There's new pressure for that student loan debt forgiveness. And I have other big news happening, like that $6,000 of that Ron Wyden wants you to have. I'll have all those details coming up in just a break. But first, here's a little bit about the community page for help for utilities, rent, and more. I'll be back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate. And the excitement continues right after this with LA Late Night. LA Late Night, their irreverent, non-informational, humor-only broadcast with Sir Loin and Javita Late. Coming up in 2 hours from now. Last night, after LA Late Night, I brought back Coin Late, which covers cryptocurrency. And I really appreciated your great comments. You really liked it. It was a horrible time slot to put it in last night. I just recorded it. And guess what? I'm going to touch on some of what it talked about in that recording because guess what? It happened. I didn't expect to record something last night and 6 hours later it actually happens. So I'm going to touch on that right later in this recording. But if you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. You want to get access to those PDFs because there's a lot of PDFs that came out this week. We have the Ron Wyden bill that came out less than 7 days ago. We have Elizabeth Warren's new letter. We have the new bill from Mitt Romney. And there's also a bill from Bernie Sanders, which I'm trying to get, which you can hear in this recording, and a lot of other things hitting as well. So become a member as well. Links in the chat and in the pinned comment. Let's get to the other breaking news, which is that when you're sitting back and wondering about third stimulus, fourth stimulus, and fifth stimulus, what happens with these standalone bills? Here's what you need to know. The reason why I cover these standalone bills is that these congressional leaders will likely try to get them into the next package. Why? Because packages get passed and bills sometimes don't get passed. Bills take a while, packages don't take a while. So Ron Wyden, that $6,000, could that come into the fourth stimulus package? I think it will. Ron Wyden proposes to give $250 a week for up to 6 months if you're a PUA person and become and lose work. Remember, PUA, FPUC, PEUC are going away in September, along with a lot of things like eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance. Well, Ron Wyden wants to fix PUA by making a lifetime program with a different name, but for the same purpose, just $250 a week, up to 6 months per year, so $6,000. Could that get into fourth stimulus? I think it could. Will Bernie Sanders make a push to put the higher minimum wage in fourth stimulus? I think he will. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think it's going to work again. I think his real opportunity was under third stimulus. I don't think it's going to happen again. Meantime, Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax bill, could that get into fourth stimulus? I think she's going to make a big push to get it in there. This coming week, Elizabeth Warren will have a conference in Congress about her wealth tax bill. Now, this is huge because the wealth tax bill, which is actually a bill in the Senate, was what she detailed while running for president as the mechanism to pay for $200 a month for COVID relief for SSI and SSDI recipients. So while we're already into April, you've already lost 4 months out of a 12-month period. Could you still get some $200 a month? You still could. So next week is going to be a very exciting week with wealth tax being heating up with Elizabeth Warren. Now, one of the things I really want to touch on, because I've not done this, is for you to understand that Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax is for billionaires and trillionaires. Later in this recording, you're going to hear about the president's other taxes. That's not for billionaires and trillionaires. It's for much smaller income people. I'll be touching on that later. And so very exciting news coming this week from Elizabeth Warren. All right, so what is the other exciting news? In less than 12 hours from now, the shuttered venue grant will go live on SBA.gov. I fully expect a stimulus stampede like you have never seen. I've been covering SBA now for less than 1 year, 1 year and 1 day less, approximately. And guess what? I've never seen SBA announce a program's going to go live ahead of time. We would always have to guess what day it starts. It just appears and like, oh, it's live. This time they're telling us what day it's going live, and they're telling us what hour it's going live. Why? So I fully expect it to crash tomorrow. I just do. Remember, the shuttle venue grant is not just for venues. So go to SBA.gov to learn about. The $5,000 grant has not gone live. People have asked me, is there a grant alone to start a new business? There is not. It did not get into third stimulus. But SBA has always had stuff like that, similar. So look at SBA, not for COVID, but SBA.gov for non-COVID stuff. They have a lot of relief for people who want to start new businesses. And then finally, the PPP grant and the remainder $10,000 grant are all happening as well. So what else happened today? Well, a certain person went a little bit too far. And that person is him. Yeah, it was him, and it was also him. Two people. And as to the second, they really did not take ownership of this. How do I describe this? Let me start. Yesterday, Bloomberg Financial News ran a story that the President of the United States is considering a capital gains tax raise, taking it from 20% now to upwards of like 48%. What? Excuse me? Yeah, you did hear me right. 20% to like 48%, which is just like, That's like taking 50% of someone's money away. And for literally almost everyone. It was just mind blowing. And it was not an on the record quote, but it comes after I've been reporting for 3 weeks that the president, under purpose of forced stimulus, is really not deciding and not telling you what taxes he wants to touch. He has mentioned corporate, but corporate's not going to cut it. He has to touch other taxes to pay for stuff. So he's not been clear about that subject matter. So then the Bloomberg report came out and said next year, in 6 stimulus, in January 2022, he's going to take your taxes and double them on the capital gains tax. Wall Street just went, Macaulay Culkin, like Home Alone. It's just like, what? And with that, Wall Street tumbled yesterday. And the tumbling didn't really stop for purposes of crypto. Today, the crypto imploding continued. Why? Because the concept capital gains tax means if you buy something and resell it and you make a profit, you have to pay taxes on it. A car, something you buy a swap meet, your Amazon reselling account, or you do eBay, anything like that. You have to pay capital gains tax. So he wants to take your money. Wall Street didn't like that. Wall Street really did not like that. And so today what happened was the press secretary was asked what happened to yesterday. She said, I don't usually comment about Wall Street and activity. Well, how about you comment about the capital gains tax report? Because that's really scaring people. Well, a Goldman Sachs report came out today and said, guess what? You can calm down. We at Goldman Sachs, which is a bank, a big financial institution, says, he is never going to pass 48%. He certainly did consider it, but someone told him, you're crazy. You're not going to get that done. And so that's why the press secretary sort of skidded away from that subject, because it just sort of looked, I don't know how you would say it. It looked too aggressive, I guess is the word to say. It looked just not thoughtfully done aggressively. Too aggressive and not thought through. Yeah, I think that's the polite way of saying it. You can drop the word you want to put in the comment right now about what you thought. Now, there was that. So Wall Street actually was up nicely today throughout much of the day, or relatively flat, whereas crypto continued to implode. $200 billion of crypto disappeared in the last 24 hours because people were selling. People were selling because there was a worry that if you wait to hold stuff next year, you will take a big tax hit. This is huge for you. This is huge for every American because you don't want economic instability. You don't want Wall Street crashing. You don't want people selling things, and you don't want people worrying about things. Moreover, a lot of you may buy and sell stuff. You may buy plants and resell plants. You don't want to worry that someone's trying to take your livelihood as you try to get back to normal from this pandemic. That was how he started the day. And then came this guy. And this is where things just started to, I don't know. Oh my God, I'm just speechless every time I go over the subject matter. So Bernie, bless you, Bernie. Bernie and the House member who wants to give you multiple stimulus checks. They're trying to get you multiple stimulus checks. Good. Stay on point. Get us those stimulus checks. And, you can talk about wacko stuff in September or October. But just first get us our stimulus checks, please, Bernie. Well, what did he do today? He talked about wacko stuff. Yes, he talked about wacko stuff, which just scares us because you don't want people who are your advocates for those stimulus checks, for things that make sense, for economic recovery, for SSI reform. You don't want people just sort of going crazy on ideas. And the crazy idea came as Bernie Sanders today reintroduced a bill that never saw light of day 2 years ago. No one wanted then, and no one really wants now. What is this bill? It proposes, sit down for this one. It proposes to charge a tax to people, even low income, that make money on buying and selling like a Tesla share of stock, and take your money as a low income person to pay for the schooling of a person who makes 6 figures. Yeah, that makes total sense, doesn't it? So you're home, staying home, and you make $24,000 a year, but you'd like to try to buy and sell a few shares of stock. You maybe make a few ends meet and put some money on the table. And let's say you make $500 profit. Here comes Bernie Sanders. He's like, I want to take your money so I can pay for the education of a person, single person, whose child wants to go to college, and that single person makes 6 figures a year. Yeah, makes no sense. So, Bernie, can we just not do any more of these strange bills until we get 4 stimulus out the door? You don't want these people who are part of the core that are trying to push for SSI reform and mortgage forbearance and student loan debt forgiveness, which I'm getting to in a second. You don't want them going to those other things. To which I also want to address another subject matter. There's a lot of standalone Senate bills we're hearing. Are these all going to get called for a vote? No. This is what's important you need to know, that ultimately Senate vote bills, if they don't get called for a vote, they die during the Senate session. So a lot of this is book deals. It really is book deals. A lot of people are trying to get book deals. This one, I don't know, horror story book deals? I don't know. It's just not a very good book. It's just, I don't even want to turn to the first page. But let me go to student loan debt forgiveness. So student loan debt forgiveness, Elizabeth Warren's push and Bernie Sanders' push, if he stays on point, and Chuck Schumer's point, got an interesting twist today as a series of news reports went out and did what I've been saying over the last week. Where's the Miguel Cardona letter? Yes, the Miguel Cardona letter was due last Friday to determine whether the president could forgive student loan debt by executive order after Obama did and Trump did it. And we have not seen that letter. And now the articles are coming out saying, where's the letter? So, Purple Power, do your thing. Ask, where is this letter? Education Secretary, where is your letter about student loan debt forgiveness? This week also saw a new report that said that of 500 congressional leaders surveyed, how many would support forgiving student loan debt? Well, of the 500 surveyed, only 36 responded. The rest were at the casino. I had 36 responded out of 500. That's pretty, And they got staffers. Even the staffers didn't respond. But of the 36, the vast majority wanted to do it. And of those that didn't want to do it, they wanted to do it at another number at least. Great news across the board. It's a big night. And hopefully I got everything in this jaw-dropping, jam-packed recording from logical news to Bernie Sanders news. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful evening. I'll be back with you in 2 hours from now with LA Late Night. Circle around again. The word of the night is teal. Sirloin will be in full force. Javita Lake will be here. And that's LA Late Night in 2 hours from now. It's going to be a great night. And we're going to start. We started today strong and we're going to end today strong because, who wants to end the week? Who wants to end the week? We want to end it strong. So LA Late Night is in 2 hours from now at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I look forward to seeing you then. If you have not liked this video, please do. Hit that like button, 3,000 likes. Subscribe. Our 1-year anniversary. I want you part of this family. And if you've not become a member to get these incredible PDFs, Elizabeth Warren's letter, Ron Wyden's new bill, all that other excitement, please do. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, always keep on laughing, stay positive. You're going to get all the money you're desiring and everything you're owed. This is LLA.